skip that. So today's topic is basically the decision tables. So the session is basically driven by 5 key points. So we are basically going to explain you what are decision tables, who can use them, and when to use them, what are their key benefits, and at last we are going to cover an extensive demo regarding decision tables. They are probably their use cases and explain you how we can use them in different ways within the ServiceNow. So the first point is what are decision tables? So basically, as everything in ServiceNow, there are tables. Basically, they are combination of tables. And within Workflow Studio, we are given an intuitive interface where the combination of them gives us a functionality where you can build some conditional logic. So to give an example, like in the screen, we are given inputs and we have the below that the conditions. So basically these conditions are rules that are driven. Basically, if these condition meets, then we are given a certain results. So they are in alignment with other workflow components like subflows or actions. There you can drive the inputs, where you can define the input types, and you can build the conditions, and you can drive some results or output from the particular action. So these are used when you want to decouple your conditional logic from your main logic, where you have to construct multiple if-else conditions or case switch constructs, or you have to use branching. So that's where this decision tables comes into picture. And with this intuitive interface, we are also given some additional functionality such as export to Excel files. So basically, we can export all these conditions, these rules outside of ServiceNow. So a non-technical person can build those rules and upload them back within the ServiceNow. And ServiceNow provides a very good error handling interface here as well. So they will generate an error report if there is something data missing or there is some issue with the data that is being uploaded back to the ServiceNow. So we will cover this in demo, but it's a powerful interface here. So it gives a non-technical person to interact with the system as well. So what gives other advantages is, since we are decoupling the conditional logic, so we don't have to update the flows back to back. So we don't need to update the flows or our technical object just to update the conditions or drive the results. So gives you an idea how this is used. Some of us might have used assignment rules and other things. They might get this idea. Some of us might not have the idea since we are new to the service now. But this will be extensively covered when you see in demo also. So keep your question up until that point for how it is used. So next thing is, who can use this decision tables? So basically, we have 3 personas: developers, that are technical persons who know ServiceNow throughout, they know coding. Basically, they can use references, dot walking. So for developers, it's a powerful tool. They can utilize this decision tables across ServiceNow, maybe in script, maybe in flows, and in different ways. For no and low coders, probably they can use the primitive data types, maybe something simple like string, integers, or choice values. And they can build those conditions, build those rule bases, and utilize within the ServiceNow. For business process owners, it comes a different picture. They don't have the technical knowledge, but they know the process. They know how to drive the conditions. So that's where the Excel export and the maintaining those data outside of ServiceNow comes into picture. So decision tables target all 3 kinds of persona. Next thing is when to use the decision tables. So basically, we are given 3 unique opportunities whenever we can use the decision tables. Basically, first is create. When you are creating a new technical object for a new use case, that's where if you find that your condition is your logic or your requirement is something like where you can decouple the conditioner, or you need to drive some results, or a non-technical person needs to interact with this, just like I explained before, that's where you can use the decision tables. And if your use case is constructing leads to a branching of results, so that's where you can also use this decision tables. So this takes the opportunity for the new requirements or new opportunities where you want to utilize the decision tables. Replace comes into picture when you are doing the code maintenance or you are doing some updates, and you find that decision tables can be utilized here. So it can make the code maintenance easy, or maybe you can make the code less complex for the users or the persons who are interacting with the system. That's where replace comes into the picture. You can replace the complex if-else condition. You can replace the case switch state constructs that are already within the system. Now, the third place you can use them is a reuse functionality. Basically, since they are built on the workflow studio, just like subflows, flows, or actions, you can create a code snippet here and you can utilize them within the script as well. So basically, ServiceNow provides an API where you can call this decision table via the script and you can expect the results directly onto the script and you can utilize them. You already have the decision tables, you can utilize them to the script as well. So also, same decision tables can be applied to across multiple flows. You just have to use the flows logic option where you can call the decision and provide that right decision table which you want to use, and you can use those decision tables in multiple flows or subflows. Now, next thing is key benefits. So their key benefits are derived into two parts basically. What is for what are for developers, what are for business subject matter experts, maybe business process owners or other players within the service now. For developers, it makes the code development very easy and maintenance is very easy because we are decoupling the conditional logic. We don't have to update the flows just to maintain the rules or new conditions that we are building. Since we can use them in multiple flows, even in scripts, so it is a reusable interface. So basically, you can utilize them in multiple places without causing any new requirements or new updates or new decision tables every time. Now, for business SMEs, it basically gives them a way to interact within the service now. So to handle their own process on basically. So how it is done, since it is a low-code UI, just I said before, if you provide these user right roles, so they can interact within the system. Now, what are these access levels? Basically, decides on the role. They are admin, they're editor, author, and reader. What it means is admin has the all-level access. They can edit the tables, they can edit the inputs, they can edit the rules and their answers, so basically the results. Editor can only edit the our conditions. Author drives all the conditions that or rules that we are creating within the decision tables. Reader has the only read access for all the tables. They can export the file, but they cannot edit anything. So combined with the low-code UI and this export file and this row level access, business SMEs can interact with this decision tables as well. Now, how they are utilized within ServiceNow, this will be covered in demo. Over to you, Manjesh. You can take over.
Okay, let me get started. So for the demo, let me explain the use case that I'm going to cover. It's a very basic use case that we are going to cover, wherein we have a CSM portal. We have a use case where customer places an order for a device, and for this device, we are going to calculate using the decision table on who is the vendor who is going to supply this device for us, and also the the fulfillment group who is going to handle this request. So we are going to make two decisions based on the country the user belongs to. Let's say we have we are a device manufacturing company who has who has the manufacturing presence in one country, but we supply our goods or devices all over the world. So in that case, what we do is we have our registered vendors or suppliers who are going to deliver these devices to end users or end customers. Okay, so to start with, let me first take you to the decision table. So you can get there in two ways. One is you can directly click on Decision Builder. It will take you to the Workflow Studio where you can see the decision tables here and start building. Or the other way is you have the decision tables list that are in the system today. You can see the list, and when you click on New, it would again route you back to the Workflow Studio. Okay, two ways to get in. Or you can directly go to the Workflow Studio and switch to Decision Table tab here and start working. Okay, so I will also show you the portal we have. So this is the security devices manufacturing company, we have a portal. Let's say somebody comes in and they want to order a door safety digital door lock or a fire extinguisher for their company or for their home, whatever the real estate may be. So in that case, they'll come here, they place an order here. So based on the country, the address, they fill in where it has to be delivered. We are going to make a decision of fulfiller, fulfillment group, and also the supplier or the vendor who is going to deliver it to the customer. Okay, so let's get started. So with decision table, you have the new option here, just like, and also just to let you guys know, I know some of you are very new to the service now. This would need a very basic understanding of flow. Okay, how flows work, how are they created, how we can use them in different tasks, sorry, different records and all. Okay, so just that basic understanding is required. If you don't have any idea on flow, it's absolutely fine. You can listen to this session, and I think I'll also cover how we will embed this decision table into the flow. So that might give you a better idea, and that once you start working on flows and understanding flows, all this will make sense. Okay, so you can see we have different options. So I'm going to select decision table. And in here, you can see we have few mandatory attributes like decision table name. And this can be any name that we would like to give to our decision table that we are building. So I will name it as identify fulfiller and supplier. Okay. And application, I'll keep it global. I don't have any custom application where I would like to put this into. And I'm currently making it accessible from all the application scopes. So I want my decision table to be accessible from flows or scripts or actions or subflows being or playbooks being used in any of the application. Okay. And you can see there is something called enable draft authoring. So what it does is if I uncheck this enable draft authoring, once I start creating the decision table, it will be as soon as I start building it and save it, it will be readily available for use. And after I use it and somebody comes back and maybe some other developer or I come back and make the changes will start reflecting directly. Okay. But if I enable the draft authoring, what it does is it will create the decision table in a draft version and it will keep it there until I go ahead and manually publish it. So it will give you a sort of version maintenance. Okay, so I'm going to click on build decision table. It takes a minute. Okay, it was quicker. So it has three main components. One is inputs, the second one is results, and third one is the decision table itself, which has the conditions. Okay, inputs. You can configure any type of inputs. It can be a choice, string, reference, anything. So this decision table can accept any number of inputs. It can be one, it can be n, it can be any type. So using this inputs, we are going to build our decision table with conditions and derive the result out of it. So as Sumit was explaining that it can be embedded into a flow or it can be used in a script. From your flow or your script, you can pass in the input. So it takes the input, it makes the decisions inside the table, and it will give you the result. Okay, so it gives you sort of modularity, and you can keep using this decision table in multiple places. You don't have to keep writing the same if else or switch or case statements every time you need this logic. Okay, so I'll start adding the input. So let's say, as I was saying, based on country, we are going to decide the fulfiller and the vendor. So the type is reference. I'll take it as a reference, and I will map it to the core country table that we have in the system. Okay. So we have reference filters. We don't need it now in this one. So we can, if we want to further filter the data that we have in this table, we can further use reference filters to filter it out. Okay, so this is my input that I'm going to use in the country as an input. And we have an option here to make it mandatory or non-mandatory. So in my case, my decision always depends on the country. So I will make it mandatory. Okay, so I'll come to this added condition column in a bit. So now the input is done. Now I will create the results for it. So as I said, I need one fulfiller, which is of type reference. And here it's a fulfillment group. So I'm going to refer the group table. And in the reference filter, I'm going to say, show me only the groups of type fulfiller. Okay. So this is one result. So I can add another result here. So I'll just click on this and I'll say my another result should be supplier. Okay, or vendor. So here again, if I have any description, I can give it, and otherwise I can select the type. This also I want it to be reference, and I want this to be referred to company table. Okay, and the reference filter will be I want to see only the vendors. Okay, not the actual companies or accounts that are in the system. So I'm going to say show me only the vendors. Okay, I'll just save the progress. So we have inputs where we have country, and we have outputs where we have fulfiller and supplier. Now here, this is where we start adding the condition. You can see here you have a default result. So this default result is auto-generated by the system every time. What happens is if any of the conditions doesn't match, the input that you passed didn't pass any of the conditions, then it falls to default result and it will return the values that we set here. So in my case, let's say uh, we have different countries that we are taking as an input, and let's say for some of the remote countries, maybe some of the countries in Africa, so these countries we don't have an actual fulfiller or a supplier. So for those things we will put them to global. So we'll have a global group or the global fulfiller who would take care of such remote countries or remote locations for delivery. Okay, and supplier, again I will say global supplier. Okay, so this is my default result. If nothing matches, it goes here and set it to global fulfiller and global supplier. Okay, now coming to conditions. So when I click on this, so you can see I can give the name. Sorry, before that, I think I missed one thing. So the condition column can be added from two places, here or here. So when we click on this, it gives the it lets us create the new condition, and also it auto populates with the input that we have defined. So you can see here the condition that I can use is country, and it's a country table and reference, and is or equal to is the operator. I can also switch it to field and try to select a field on the country table and then set the condition type and operator and then use it. But in my case, since I will directly pass country as an input, I will use it as is. Okay, I'll say done. So you can see the condition got created here. Now we will start putting the rows for decision making. So there are three options here. One is to add a new decision above, one below, and one is to copy. Okay, so I will start adding with this one. Let's say the country is set as United States of America. Then I'm going to set the fulfiller groups as United States of America fulfiller group, and supplier or vendor as United States of America supplier. Okay, and now either I can do click copy. If I do copy, then it will copy the same row. Let's say you have multiple conditions and multiple results, and you have to tweak just one field in each row. In that case, you can keep using the copy and just keep changing one field that you need to tweak to make different decisions. Okay, so that's where this copy is useful, or you can either create a row up above or row below. Okay, the above or below is they have given this option because there might be a chance where you will go from exact match to average match. So you say we have three inputs, and you want to make sure all three inputs matches to the value I'm passing. Then you make a decision. Next thing is you will say two values matches. Then you make this decision. So if three matches, I have to stop there. So in that case, the rank matters. So that's why they have let us add above or below the existing rows. Okay, now let's say I set it up for India, and I set the fulfiller group as India fulfiller group. and supplier as well for India. Okay. So now, so this way we can keep adding the inputs and conditions, the rows in the decision table, and keep setting the fulfiller and supplier. So let's say we have set this. Now I want to test it. So they have given the option to test it. So if I test it, what to test. So currently my version is draft. I have not published it. So I only have my draft version to test. Assume that I have published my version, and after a while I come back and I try to tweak something or try to add new conditions. Sorry. Then once I make the changes, I'll have access to both the draft version and the published version to test it. So currently it's only draft. And here we have two things: return first decision that matches, all decision that matches. As I was just explaining a moment ago, let's say that there are three inputs and all three matches. If you want to stop there, so then you say first decision that matches. If you still want to go through all the other decisions that matches and the results of them, then you can use all decision that matches. So I'm going to use this, and I will give, let's say, India as an input. So from the decision table that we have set up, they should set the fulfiller group as India fulfiller group and supplier as India supplier. Once we test it, you can see that it's working fine. Now, if I select a country that's not in the system, that's not, I'm not set up the decision yet, you can see it picks the default rule and it puts it under global fulfiller group and global supplier. Okay. Now, coming back, let's say I have a lot more entries to be added. So as Sumit was mentioning, the different profiles who would be using this functionality, for instance, admins or who work as a low code, no code developers or an admins, or the BPCs, the business process BPO, the business process owners or business process consultants or business analysts themselves. If they want to use it, what they can do is, or either the admin or developer can give them the export, or they can come into the system. If they have the author, editor, or admin roles, they can export it. Okay. So ServiceNow gives a very cool feature here. What it does is it exports the decisions along with the inputs, and it will give the name of the file. For the file, it gives the name of the your decision table and export, followed by the time, date, and timestamp. Okay, so let me just open it. Just give me a minute. Yeah, one in another window. So this is how it looks. So here you can see, I'm not sure if you guys can see, let me increase the resolution. So you can see the conditions. So currently I have only one condition, which is country, and the results. And one good thing is they will let you select the operator from here, pre-populated, and also they will pre-populate the data as well. So for instance, if I want to do it for UK, so for United Kingdom, I will set it to United Kingdom fulfiller group and United Kingdom supplier. And also I want to set it for Nigeria. I'll say Nigeria. I have Nigeria. We do support the direct orders. We have the fulfiller there. So we do this. Okay. So once they are done, let's say they want to do it for 100 rows or 50 rows, they can manually do this, or they can generate the Excel and copy paste it here and use it. Okay. So once they are done, they can save it. And what they can do is they have an option to import now. So they click on import. So we can drag and drop the file. Let me do that. This is the latest file. And you can see the name. This is the one that we exported. So if I try to export it, it gives an error. It says 1 out of 4 decision rows are syntactically inaccurate. So I'm not sure how many of you observed it. I intentionally left a condition empty for Nigeria. Okay, now another cool thing that is very impressive is you don't have to go back to your old export sheet, fill it, come back and upload. What you can do is, let's say you're loading hundreds of rows, and it's very difficult to go back and try to manually identify what is the error for those rows. So what they offer is they let us download these files, the error files, and against each row where there is an error, I mean, each row where there is an issue, they are going to show us the error. So in this case, you can clearly say they're saying operator cannot be empty when the value exists. So basically, I kept it empty. If I set it to is and save it, and you can see the file name also says this and underscore error. Okay, this is a new version of file. And now I'm going to import and put the error version that we've just fixed. Okay, then import. You can see immediately you can see two rows, United Kingdom and Nigeria. Okay, populated. Then you just have to save it. So this is done. Now, let's say tomorrow somebody comes back and say, today we don't have the fulfillers in all the countries. So we said wherever countries the fulfiller is not there, try to put global fulfillers. I mean, send it to global fulfillment group and the global suppliers. But what if tomorrow they say, let's set up today the requirement came in, they said, we will set up region-based suppliers. If the country-based supplier is not available, let's give it to the next level to the region-based suppliers. Let them do the delivery. Okay. So what we can do is we can add another input. I'm going to call it region, and I will take the input type as choice. So here you can create a new choice or you can use the existing one. So it's fairly simple, like your UI form designer. You can start adding it. You will start having new values. Okay, something like this. But what I'm going to do in my use case, I'm going to use the existing reference choice list. I'm going to refer to the existing choice list on the country, where today we are maintaining the region for each country. Okay, so you can see on the country table, we have the choice field called region. I'm going to use that. So now mandatory, I can keep it mandatory, I can skip it. For this one, I don't see it to be mandatory since I can make the decision on country, or I anyways have the global fulfillment group as a default result. So I'm fine with that. And I'll add the condition for that, this one. So region and type is choice and default operator is this. So I'll keep it same and I'm going to say it. So now you can see we have country, we have region. And if you carefully observe, the header color of country and region matches to the header color here. Okay, for country and region. So this helps you when you have a lot of inputs to make these decisions. Then it helps you to identify or correlate to the correct input, because here also you can change the label, right? Let's say I use the input as label, but in the condition I gave it a different name. Now to correlate it to the actual input, you can use the color. Okay, okay, I don't need another decision. So now we have region here. So let's say I want to add value here, where country I keep it empty, but I will say if region is EMEA, then set it to EMEA fulfiller group and and EMEA supplier. Okay. Now let's say similarly we have other region-based suppliers. So we want to upload it. So we don't want to do it in the system. Similarly, you can do export it, and go to the file. So this is your file. You can clearly see now that the condition initially it was only country. You can see region as well. Okay, now I'm going to use this for let's say a few more values for EMEA, Africa's, APAC, Northern America, and Southern America, and maybe rest of world as well. Okay, now for this one, should go to Africa's, APAC, NA, and NA. So if you want to do country plus region also you can do, no harm. So if I say is and value is NA. So United States is from Northern America. So what happens this is these two will act as and conditions. Okay, country should be America and the region should be NA, only then it will evaluate the dis. Okay, if that doesn't match, then it will go to the default condition. Okay, so I'm going to just save it, close it, and import it. This is the latest one. Import. You can already see the data, NA, EMEA, everything. I'm going to just save it. Okay, now there is another tab here called history. So this is also very cool. So what they do is every time somebody does an export and import, they will start maintaining it here. Let's say we initially we loaded 100 rows and the business came back and they say load another 20 rows. So we downloaded the version, added 20 rows to the Excel, uploaded it, loaded 20 rows and saved it. And again they came back, they gave load another 10, 20, 30. So it kept on repeating. Now someday they come back and say, when was this specific countries, fulfillers and suppliers were loaded? So it's very easy for us to come back here and see when all we loaded. So you can see initially exported, it was successful, and you can still download the initial file. If I download this file, it will only have United States of America, India, and default result, nothing else. So then you can see there was an import I tried, it failed. Then I fixed the error. You can see the error file also, download the error file. Then I fixed the error, loaded it again, it worked fine. That file is also available. Then again I exported, that is available. Then I added the region-based decisions, then I loaded it, that is also available. Okay, at any point of time, you can go back and check uh, what all details or what all data have been loaded. Okay, now what if I want to add a very complex condition? So let's say I'm taking country. Uh, Using that, for instance, let's take region as an input. So I didn't wanted to add a region as a column here, but I still wanted to use region, the value, the field that is there on United States of on the country table. Okay, for that reason, as I was just showing you guys from all this file, here we can only set the value. But if you go here, so all the same things, add row, below, above, below, duplicate, delete. There is something called open in decision rule view. When you go there, you can see this looks like country is United States of America. As I said before, it acts as an AND condition and region is NA. So what if I don't want to do this and I want to do AND? So let's say I don't have a input as a region. I want to do country dot walk and say region is NA. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, in this case, it will not let you select a value for the inputs. It's basically the complex condition. And if I save it and export, just to show you, it looks like a one row complex condition, one column. Okay, and you cannot edit it. Okay, you cannot change it. And also you cannot write such conditions by yourself. It should be done within system. When you have complex conditions, you have to do it within the system. Okay, so I'll keep it this way. I don't see any issue. Now, I mean, this is basically the decision table, how we can build it, we put the inputs, put the output results, then build the decisions, add the conditions and all, how to export, import, history and all. Now, we have a few things here. This property corresponds to your flow property similar to that. So your name, description, which application you've created, which cannot be changed. Accessible, you can change. Then enable drafting, which I had showed you initially as true. So that is there, and you can see the active is still false because I've not published it. I'll go back. Then you have related objects. Probably I'll show you this once I embed this into a flow. Then you can see that flow as a related object. Okay, so system basically does a check in the entire system to see where all this identify fulfiller and supplier decision table is used. Okay, and next thing is duplicate. So there might be a use case maybe not in our case. So where you have to set up a decision table. Let's say it applies for one set of data or one set of people or one set of conditions where you build a decision table, which has to be done for a different set of people. Let's say you have a different accounts. So you want to do it for one account and customer or the business asks you to do it for the second account. For the second account, you might still be using the same inputs, same outputs, similar conditions or the same conditions, just the outputs calculation might change. Then you can use this, duplicate the decision table. It will duplicate everything, including the decision rows. If you disable this, then decision rows that I've added here, these won't get uh, duplicated. If you do this, this also gets duplicated. Okay. So, and also here you can select which version to duplicate. My current is draft, and that's why it shows draft. So let's say I had a version which was published, and now I'm currently working on that version in a draft version, but I want to duplicate the initial published version. That can be done. Okay. Yeah, this is about decision table. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this. And for this item, I have a underlying flow in system today in place today, which picks up this request and creates a task and takes it to fulfillment and closure. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to flows. This is my standard device flow. So in this, I'm going to embed the decision table. Okay. So I have this get catalog variables. I think most of you are aware of what you might be aware of what it does. It basically gets all these inputs that user has inputted to be available in the context of this workflow. Okay. Then we have the create catalog task where I was just mentioning that we create the task out of this request. Now I'm going to create a another step here where so this decision tables as Sumit was mentioning earlier, these are available under flow logic. You can see here make a decision. I'm going to select it. I'm going to, you can give a name. I will give the same name as identify filler and supplier, and I can select it. So if it since it is sorry, since it is published, you can readily select it here. And you can see that execution, as I was saying, first decision matches or run all decision. I only want the first decision because my uh, decision table is built in a way that it's from exact match to abstract match. I mean, the exact match to least match. So I want only the first decision. And you have something called use branches here, which is checked. You can see here, if this is checked, system will give you access to all the branches, all the decisions in the system. Okay, you can see United States of America, fulfiller group, supplier is United States of America supplier, global, India, United Kingdom, then region based, all this we have. So this, you can use this when you have to do some specific activities when a specific fulfiller is selected. For instance, United States is selected and the fulfiller, the United States fulfiller comes back to you and says, I want to be notified every time a new task is a new request is coming our way. So I can just configure a email notification here because the others doesn't want. So it's fairly simple because you don't have to creating actual notifications in the system where you keep adding if else, if else, if else, those kind of conditions, right? Or let's say for US, no, apart from notifications, we have to execute some other logic. So that can also be done here. Okay, it will let you add another flow object and there is a flow or a flow logic or an action and get our work done. Okay, it actually looks better in the flow diagram view. I hope you guys are aware of this flow diagram view. So here it is. So it looks like this here. So for me, these are the initial actions or steps that were available. Now we have added this identify fulfiller and supplier, and each one you can see have a path. So you can add your details here. Okay, so if you can see here, if you want to, if you are somebody who likes the pictorial representation of things and if you want to work here, this is fairly simple, similar to your legacy flow diagram view. And I think so most of you have explored this option. for you who has no, for those guys who haven't explored it yet. So it's fairly simple. Just click on the activity. You'll get all the inputs here. You can see use branches is here also. Can enable, disable. Then your decision table inputs. You can say take the input from the catalog variables. I can do it from here, and the region, take it again from the catalog variables and use it. Okay, so since I'm comfortable with the flow view, I'm switching it back. So I'm not going to use the branches. For country, I'm going to say go to variables and use country. For region, again, go to variables, get catalog variables and use region. Okay, and I'll say done. Now this will run and it will give me the result of fulfiller and supplier. How I'm going to use is in the create catalog task, I'm going to say, so there is a field called fulfiller group. For this, set it from the make a decision step. So this is a make a decision step where you have this result. In the result, you have to dot walk to the each element of the each result element, and from there you can select fulfiller. Similarly, for supplier, I will say go to make a decision. Okay, this result elements, I think I missed it. I will explain you in the code. That makes more sense. So you can see here, I'm saying pick the fulfiller group from whatever this returns and pick the supplier or vendor from whatever this returns. And I'm going to save it. Before I activate, I think I missed one thing. Let me show you here. We have an option to create code snippet. So if you guys remember, Sumit was saying that we can even use the decision tables in the code. So it's very simple. You can come here and create the code snippet for it. So they have this API called decision table API, which we can use to invoke the decision table that we want to run. So we just have to pass this ID of the decision table. Okay, and for inputs, in my case, I have country and region. So country, it clearly says it should be a reference, and region, it says it should be a choice. Okay, once we do this, then it gives a response in this result elements. Okay, so in these result elements, you just have to, it's an object of result. You just have to dot walk and access the value that you want. In our case, we have fulfiller and supplier, two things. So you can see here, there is something called return all decision. The one I just showed is written first decision. We have something called return all decision. So in return all decisions, what happens is it's fairly simple. As I was saying, from exact match to least match, if the system returns 5 rows, you can access all 5 rows using this for loop and use the outputs. Okay, if you don't want 5, you are just concerned about the first one, use this. Okay, you can copy the code and start using it wherever you want. Now, coming back to the flow, I'm going to activate this and show you a quick demo. So we still have around 12 minutes, so I should be able to finish this. I'll select a user and I'll select some account for them. And let's say I say some address, dummy address. City, let's say I say New York. State is New York. Country is United States of America. And let's say I put some zip code. And you can see region, we are auto-populating based on the country that's selected. And I'll say shipping instruction, please deliver it on weekends as I will be away on weekdays. Something like this. Okay, and I will say order now. Check out. So now I will go to the request table from the back office and try to find this request we just raised. So this is the request which was raised by my account login, and this is the RITM that's related to that. And you can see the item that we have ordered is fire extinguisher, and this is the requested for account. This is the country, United States of America. Okay, now as part of the flow that I was showing, I've created a task. So this is the task. If we take a look at the task, you can see clearly that the fulfiller group is set to United States of America and supplier set is set to United States of America supplier. Let's do a quick one more order where I try to select something which, I mean, some account, some country which we might not have maintained it. And let's say some sample city, some state. I'll say country as Afghanistan. Okay, I'll put some zip code. So we have not maintained the region, so region is empty for this. And now check out. In this case, I'll directly go to the task. So this is the latest task. And you can see it went to the global circular group and global. Okay, I think I covered almost everything I wanted to cover. I have shown everything I wanted to show. Maybe we can open the session for questions.